you said this, and then you said something different, and then you said something different here. Um, why is this so? What is your explanation? So who is doing the analysis? The CP. So the first level of data analysis for quality is with the conversational partner. Get that?
Yeah.
Everybody say this? There is no way
There's no way
I as a researcher
I as a researcher
can read minds,
can read mind,
can read feelings.
can read feeling,
My interpretations
my interpretation,
are mine.
my mind.
They contaminate
They contaminate
my data.
my
So
data.
your interpretation contaminates your data. That is why if you ask them what do they mean when they say this, for example, there was a respondent who said, what uh, what can you say about those people who victimized you? Then the answer was, their time will come. Period. Their time will come. Period. Then after that, after all the data have been collected, I said, what exactly did you mean by their time will come? If there is an opportunity for revenge, I will. I cannot die without them paying their debt to me. How did it start? Their time will come. Period. But after all the data gathering, you ask them to clarify. What do you mean by this? I cannot die without them being able to pay for their debts to me. Also, that is something very profound, right? Revenge. So you will label that as revenge. Okay. And the question is, will it be for life that they are going to do revenge? Okay. And so you ask that, if you cannot exact that now, does that mean that you are looking forward to that until your retirement, until your old age? The answer, only time can tell. For now, their time will come. So you see, so it becomes very clear. How did it start? Because of just a small remark, their time will come. So, if I interpreted it as someday it will come, it's wrong. But when I asked them the answer, they gave me the answer. So everybody say this, be careful.
Be careful.
Because in qualitative research,
Because
you are your own worst enemy.
you are your own worst enemy.
Because your perceptions can contaminate the data. So get that? Do not do your own interpretation because that will contaminate the data. So the first layer is the CP. The second layer is the experts. There was a suicide note that read, Mama, can you say this? Mama,
Mama,
it is not about you.
it is not about you.
It's about me.
It's about me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That was the suicide note, the last part. Alright, so what does that mean? So, we brought that to a clinical psychologist who was doing a specialty on rehabilitation of suicide. You know, suicide is a delicate phenomenon because when somebody is taking his life to the family, of course, after 3 or 4 days, he's buried in the cemetery. But the family, they have so many questions. Why? Was it my mistake? And so there is a need to rehabilitate. There is a need to counsel the family because they are in great pain. And so we went to a clinical psychologist and showed her that. What does this mean? And then the clinical psychologist said that the boy had issues internal to him. And he did not want to share it with the family. So you should not move on with your life with guilt because it is not you who caused him to take away his life. It was something else and you have to respect that. So you have to see that it was his decision. And it was not you who caused the decision. So you have to live in peace. So that was the interpretation of the psychologist. Who am I? Who are we? We're only researchers. We are not experts in abnormal psychology. We are not experts in suicide. So we had to ask experts to help us look at the data and what do this data mean from their perspective. Okay? Alright. So, what happened after that was, the mother complained because she was hearing voices. Because in the Philippines, we believe in souls, in spirits, and then the mother was having a breakdown because she thought that her son was coming back, the spirit was coming back, and things like that, okay? And so the question is, how are we going to interpret that behavior of the mother? We are not psychologists. And so the clinical psychologists are done with the mother because the mother felt inwardly, inside her, that the way she handled her son sometime back could have been the explanation. And we asked what happened. Because the mother said that, can you say this with me? Okay. In my family, we do not talk of issues. We avoid confrontation. So my son cannot relate to us his issues. Because in my family, we do not talk about this openly. So that could have been the explanation why he committed suicide, because he had no one to talk to. It was only later that the mother realized that maybe it was that. And so, her behavior caused her to think that there are spirits, okay, because of the guilt. When in fact, there were no spirits. Okay? So, what's the second? The expert. So, everybody say this. In quality, we have to identify who are the experts that we can ask for help. All right. The last source is called the publication scientists. Okay. The publication scientists are those who wrote in journals. Okay. All right. So, can anybody say this? Okay. When the conversational partner was asked about this issue, she explained that. This was confirmed in the interview with the expert when she said, moreover, this was confirmed, okay, by Black and Blanc, University of Chicago, when they said that, so those were the experts who are writing, and they are the scholars of the field. So there are three: explanation of the CP, explanation of the practitioner experts in the local area, and then explanation of the scientific experts who publish their data or their studies in scientific journals available online. So there are three layers. Okay, so any other rejoinder or questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel a bit confused between the expert and publication scientist.
Okay.
I feel it's
All right. Like here, there are people who know. Here in Phnom Penh, in the NIE, you can ask them. Okay. They may not have publications. Okay. But the publication expert, like for example, causes of suicide, and then you search in the web, and then there are answers. You can get those authors to support what the other two have already given you. Get that?
Yes.
All right. Now, I would like to capture the idea that in some, can everybody say this? In phenomenology, and grounded theory methodology, the end result is always a theory. Yes, the end result is a theory. Because one of the fundamental reasons for conducting a qualitative research along phenomenology and grounded theory methodology is the need to create new theories. There are two strands of theory building. One is through qualitative means, and then the other is through quantitative means. When you do quantitative theory building, you are going to use formulas. You are going to use softwares like AMOS. Can you write that? AMOS. Amos or Amos? AMOS. That is from IBM. And the purpose of Amos is for you to be able to produce scientific calculations that will lead towards theory building. Okay? For example, you will have studies like structural equation modeling. Have you heard of this? SEM, structural equation modeling. That is a technique in statistics that allows you to create a design that models your theory. So that's the one. And whatever the Lazada says that. That is about 60,000 pesos with purchase. $1,500. Okay, we can purchase. I don't know now how much is that. Okay. But again, there are sources like that one. So why are you using Amos? Because you would like to go into quantitative theory building. Okay. Why are you using qualitative research in order to arrive at theory building also? Okay. So can anybody say this? The theory that will be generated in a quality study comes from a combination of the various themes produced by the qualitative analysis. So if there is team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, and then how will you make sense of that as a whole? That will be your explanation of reality, and that is your qualitative theory. But not all of these will produce a theory. For example, case studies do not produce theories. Alright, because of the fact that by nature they are unique cases. Alright, so there are other methods like narratology. Have you heard of narratology? That is a branch of qualitative research in which all you want to do is for the person to narrate what happened. If you want a survivor of the war, then he will just narrate about the survivor of the war and then put up his stories and then recreate what happened in the war from his lens. We call that narratology. Okay. We also have what we call as hermeneutics. Can you write that? Hermeneutics. 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 Yeah, hermeneutics. So that is a branch of qualitative research that deals on the interpretation of meaning. Okay? Because how one person means, another person may differently mean all. And another theme of qualitative research is what we call feminism. Feminism. Okay. So actually there are several branches. What we teach in the Philippines are only limited to 10. Because later on there is a blending like hermeneutic phenomenology. Did you see that on screen? Yeah. So later on, one method is blended with another method, and so it becomes more sophisticated. Yes. Okay. So please write this. Okay. Requirement. Get a published methods expert. Get a published methods expert who will review your work and issue a certificate of compliance. Okay. Example, you are doing a study hermeneutics for the first time, you search in Google Scholar who are those who published hermeneutics method. Meaning, they did qualitative research using hermeneutics. So, you get somebody, and then you write him. What will he need to do? He will look at your design. He will check if how you intend to do the study for hermeneutics is correct. He will give you suggestions. And then after you do that, so you gather data. When the data are gathered, he will also check about how you analyze the data, whether it is true to be in hermeneutics. And then when you finish absolutely the entire paper, he will also pass a judgment on whether this paper is really hermeneutics. Because you are doing that for the first time, you need a guide. Unlike dancing, you just see a video and then you can just dance. Have you heard of Tala dance? Tala. Okay. Can you write T-A-L-A? T-A-L-E. A-A. Tala. Dance. Okay. This is a craze in the Philippines with over 100 million views. Okay. So if you go to YouTube, yes. Yes, can you go to YouTube? This has hit the world. Almost all countries dance this way. They are foreigners. So is it clear? In dance, you can just look and then do it your way. In research, no. You get a person to read your work, whether that is really correct according to the method. That's the only song that hit the world, coming from the Philippines. Okay. Stop. There is an important story to that. She married a boyfriend of 7 years. But the parents of the singer, Sarah, did not like the boy. And the girl, Sarah, 31 years old, married the boy in a ceremony that is secret. But the bodyguard of Sarah told the mother. So the mother came and destroyed everything. And so the girl and the boy are now on their own. And there is a family feud. Because the mother would not want to release her daughter because it's giving them billions. So it's just a money affair. She is the Philippines' highest rated star, the one of Sam. Okay? So, after this, what did we learn? Everybody say this? We are not experts on the method. Say that.
We are not experts.
We have to get an expert to help us. So, I am a teacher in the Philippines, and one of my students wanted to do grounded theory. So I referred her to a grounded theory researcher. She went there and she was coached. And then, when the study was done, the researcher for grounded theory gave a certificate attesting that it was indeed grounded theory and the method is correct, and therefore the paper can be defended. So during the oral defense, I said, I hope there will be no more questions by this panel on the method, because not one of us is an expert of the method. And so we will ask questions about the other parts except the methodology, because the methodology was already certified by a practitioner expert. That's the point. Okay? Everybody say this, go. Because qualitative research is amorphous and fluid. It is difficult to distinguish one from the other because they are so related that it is easy to go wrong. Okay, for example, to do grounded theory methodology, you have to begin with phenomenology. Now, what is the difference between pheno and gravity theory? Is only your last problem. And what is your last problem? It is about the theory that you are going to derive from the themes. Because phenomenology will, produce the themes, which can be extended to produce the theory for grounded theory methodology. So it's so related, it's so confusing. So in order for you to place it, get somebody who is an expert in the method. Okay. So after this, what happens is, when the study is finished, as I mentioned yesterday, you cannot create programs to be implemented. You cannot say, we are going to implement this action. No, because qualitative research has no generalizability. There are only few people, and so you should not do that. But you should be able to produce a recommendation for further study. So that's the only one that you are going to do. Okay. So after this, we will, unless you have questions, we will go back to the earlier part. Okay. For the introduction, I mentioned that yesterday. And then for the theory, I ended yesterday with the discussion that you should have a discussion also on the criticism. Remember, I mentioned yesterday, explain the theory and then write the criticisms of the theory. Yeah. Because if the results do not produce the intended outcomes, then the criticism will be the one to explain why the theory was not proven by the study later on. Okay. And the next point that I'm going to tell you is how to write good objectives. Objectives of the research. Okay. So please write this. How to write good objectives of the study. Okay, so I will begin with a note. Objectives have to be written with the idea that the data are already there, the tests are there, the tables are there, and what are you going to do next? So meaning, an objective should be written in a futuristic manner. Okay, this may be a little bit difficult, but I will try to make you understand what this is. Okay. You want to, for example, if I do a study about you, then probably I will begin characterizing you. Right? So I cannot have as an objective to understand you. Because a good objective should be, I collect data about you, I put them in tables, and then I look at the tables, and now what will I do? I will describe you through my data. So it is not what you do in a research process that makes for the objectives. Can you repeat? It is not you do as a research process that makes for objectives. So what are examples of research process? One is to assess. Can you write that? To assess.
To assess.
A-S-S-E-S-S. To assess is not a research objective. Why not a research objective? Because it is a process of research. Another one, to evaluate. Then mark an X, not a good objective. Next, to measure. Alright. Okay. What else? To collect data. Okay. These are examples of research activities. Okay? You don't have data yet. You are not yet done. You are just collecting, you are assessing, you are measuring. Alright? So these cannot be objectives of a research. Now you have to think like, yeah, I'm done with all those. And in my presence, in front of me, I have the tables already. I have the statistical test already. So, since I am able to find that there is a difference between the male and the females in their performance, I am not going to say to assess, but rather to compare. Because when I say to compare, the data are there, all you need to do is just compare. Okay. So the following are good research objectives. I'll give an examples of research objectives. One, to describe ... Number two, to determine ... The third one, to compare ... The fourth one, to relate ... Number five, to plan. Number six, to design. Number seven, to formulate a policy. To design, another one is to formulate a policy. For example, all your data are here. We need a policy from this data. So we write to formulate a policy, to design a plan of action, to plan, okay, to implement an action. Alright. Can you read what you have just written? Go.
To describe.
To describe.
To compare.
Yes.
To relate. To plan. To design. To formulate a policy.
So when you say to plan, it means that all the data are there, finished. And then you will use that to plan. Okay? To design, all the data are finished. So all you need to do is just use it in your design. So, as differentiated from, to assess, to evaluate, to collect data, to measure, because these are processes of research. So do not confuse research processes or activities of research when you write the objectives, because it's going to be terminal in nature rather than processual. Terminal in nature rather than processual. Okay. So that's the objectives of the study. After that, normally in a research, the significance of the study is no longer included. Can you repeat? The significance of the study is no longer included as a section, as a part. Because the significance of the study is already included in the introduction of the research. But for thesis writers, usually they are required by the school to produce a part of significance of the study. But in actual terms, when you publish them, no more, because that should be part of the introduction of the study. Alright, next. You may be asked about definition of terms, right? A thesis may have a definition of terms, but when published, no more. So, only very few of the contents of a thesis can be useful when you publish. Only the introduction, only the theoretical framework, with brief literature review, only the objectives, no more scope and limitations, no more significance of the study, no more definition of terms, because these belong to the thesis, they do not belong to the publication of a manuscript. So the publication of the manuscript is only an extract from the whole study, which is a thesis. Yesterday I mentioned to you that a thesis can have 2 or more scientific articles that can be done from a huge copy or collection. Okay. Then, after showing you this, of course, the methodology, which I discussed to you yesterday, okay. Now, the introduction plus the methodology, alright. So I think that would wrap up somehow your proposal, right?
Yeah.
What was not touched yesterday was more on instrumentation. Instrumentation. So this morning, I think I'm going to give you a briefer on qualitative research instrumentation, because you will not produce a questionnaire, you will only produce interview guide, which is a set of questions. Okay. So just write this note briefly. In quali, no more than 3 major questions. Meaning within 1 to 3 questions only. And then within each question that is major are sub-questions. So how many questions maximum?
3.
3. But within each question there are sub-questions. Yes. And then another requirement for quali is that do not read your question. Because that will turn off and cut your relationship with the CP or the conversational partners. You must have a mental map of what you intend to discover from your conversation with the interviewee. So it's not good to say, okay, my third question to you is, and then you should not read. You should memorize. Memorize, at the same time know when to probe. So can you write this word probing? P-R-O-B-I-N-G, probing. So probing is a technique in which you are going to ask a series of questions to get down at the bottom of the issue. And that is probing. So one major question, several probing. Second major issue, major question, then probing. Third major question, probing. And then after that, you are going to integrate the answers of the 3 questions. So that is the technique. Okay. I said that in quantitative research, it is good to limit to about 1 or 3 questions. Major questions. Okay. And then for every question, you will have sub-questions. Okay. So smaller, tighter questions that when you ask them, it goes down to the bottom of things. So even if you only have 1, but you can have many data coming from that. And sometimes the probing, in most cases, the probing comes only as your analysis of what you are going to ask next. Because when she makes an explanation, you will say, what do you mean by that? Can you give examples? And then she will talk. And then from there, then ask another question, and she will go down, until you feel like you have exhausted her answers for number 1. And you feel like you have collected enough. Can everybody say this? In quantitative research, your number of pages in the questionnaire are fixed. Right? It's fixed. So if you have 7 pages in the questionnaire that you print, it's only 7. And then if you have 100 items in the questionnaire, it's only 100 items. Nothing more, nothing less. It's fixed. But in quantitative research, you don't have fixed sections of things. You don't have fixed number of pages, number of questions, because that will be determined by how skillful you are in the art of questioning and how willing it is on her part to also reply to you. Because no matter how much you show a lot of questions, if she doesn't talk, so no more. So it really pays to make a psychological relationship with a person that she can take your questions at a deeper level. That is why you have to prepare 3 sets of questions when you probe. Okay?
So 3 main questions. For example, if our research question 1 and 3, it depends on the researcher.
My suggestion is, if you want to have more questions, like you only have 3, okay. If there is a time, then you can add 4.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you deepen.
Sub questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the sub-questions are very, very important to deepen the conversation. Okay.
So every question or every word between the word and the degree, we have to transcribe.
Yes,
Yes.
all of those.
Yes.
So that in the oral defense, oral presentation, okay, if I am a member of the panel, I would say, where are your transcripts? So produce them, produce. And then for quantitative research, I would even require that the student will bring a box of questionnaires. Okay, because there are focus focus, there are cheatings there. So I would ask like, how many, what is your sample size? 380, sir. Okay, where are the 380 questionnaires? In these two boxes. Good. Okay, give me any number between 1 to 380. 5. Okay. Pick up questionnaire number 5. So you should be able to number all of from 1 to 380. And then after that, okay, where is your data matrix in the computer? Okay, you read your data. Number 1 is the answer. 4, number 2, 3. Okay, correct. What is your answer there for number 25? Okay, 5. Correct. Because if the answer is, what's number 25? 4, and then here in the questionnaire is 5. There is a disparity. Then I would say, you repeat the whole process of data encoding. And I always ask my PhD students, why is this? Because you know, sir, I am already a little bit old. So I am asking my working student, I'm asking my nephew to do the encoding. And then what is the age of your nephew? 13. Has he taken a PhD? So he would not care about whether he is, groggy or sleepy. Put it there. But, it's no longer scientifically accurate. So you really have to edit his work. Because that person did not study how to be a scientist. Only you studied. So why did you allow the person to do the data encoding when you know that he is a minor and he doesn't have the mindset of correctness? That's very important. Why is a physical presence of the questionnaires necessary? Okay. Based on my experience, this is the answer. Everybody say this. You may have 200 respondents though. You only got 20. But you encoded the 20 questionnaires. The data 10 times equals 200. Right? You can just produce 20, and then after that, 1 to 20 encode. And then another one, same encode. Then encode. Because, this happened in my advising work. They did not get the 200. They only got the 20. And then encoded 10 times equals 200. Okay. How did I know? Because, can anybody say this? With the standard deviation, or the variance gets closer to zero. Because the data are repeated. Because if the data were not repeated, then the standard deviations will be robust and the variances. Okay. Then there's another one. Another issue for research is that, everybody say this, when the scores between 1 to 5, most of them are 5 and some 4, I am on a danger zone. Why? Because if you do correlational analysis, if you do a test of differences, if you do regression analysis, your results will be badly affected by the cleaning out of the variances. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If this is 5, and then most of your answers are 5 or 4, so it's only here. So what is the difference between this level and that level? It's very, very small. So when you do the testing of statistics, you will not have significant results because your scores are already very, very high. That is why we have to tell the respondents this way. Everybody say this. If you know, it's not happening, or a little bit, and then no documentation, as evidence 1. If you think that there are little documentations, 2. If you think like most people, some people know about it, then 3. If most people know about it, then 4. If all people know about it, then 5. And then I will ask you questions. Why did you answer 1? What happened in your experience? And why did you answer 5? What happened in your experience? Because if you don't tell them that, they will not think, they will just... Alright. That is why, as a researcher, you need to be very quick. And as an advisor also, I would say, okay, there are the questionnaires. Then I will ask questions like, anybody say this with me? Why is it that in all these questionnaires, there is only a blue ink? Is it normal? The 200 people will only use blue? So what happens if all the 200 questionnaires were only checked with blue? Blue cover. Circle, circle, check, check, check. Blue. Only one person was doing the questionnaires for 200 people. Right? Can you relate to that? How many of you have black ink here? Black ink in your pens? Black.
Black pen.
Okay. Blue. Okay. So all of you have blue ink. Oh, okay. Green. All right. So as a mentor, you have to check, is it possible that you will only have black or blue? Because people have different pens. And then look at the strokes. Why only like that? Oh, everything like that. Why not like this? So if all the strokes are the same, then this person is cheating. Because our students no longer go to the field, you will only get 5 or 10. And then check, 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 check. They enter into the computer. So as mentors, you really have to catch them, do mistakes, because if they are not taught, when they get out and they become advisors, they will only invent their data. So catch them before they succeed. Get that? Okay, so that's it. And then sometimes I also ask them this question. Okay. Juan de la Cruz, this is the respondent. Yes, sir. Because in quantitative research, you can write the names. Okay. Can you tell me how he looks like? He is a male. Yes, of course. Is Juan de la Cruz male? How does he look like? Can't remember. Okay. So if indeed you talk to the person, you should be able to know whether he is fat, he is tall, he is dark, his color is green. You should be able to characterize. Why don't you know anything about this questionnaire? Get that? So I am telling you this so that you will be able to have a higher degree of accuracy when you collect the data. Another one. In my university, because my university has about 20,000 students, okay, there is an issue regarding propriety. Propriety of using internal students and teachers for the study. I would not want my students to be doing research using our own people. Why? Because of the absence of protocol. You know, when they study the College of Business students and faculty, because they are business students, they will just go to the canteen and then look for business students. And, hi, friends. Okay, I need about 40 people. Can you help me? Business, help me, help me. No more the stratification, no more the correct drawing by lots, okay? No more the correct methodology, because they will just look at their friends. But the moment I ask them to study another university, they will have to write and was there. They will have to pass by the security guard house and speak in English. And then they will have to go there and then get the permit and then answer questions. Then from the president, they will go to the vice president for academics. From there, they will go to the dean. From the dean, they will be certified to go to the chair. From the chair, they will go to the teacher to find the students. So they will be able to use the correct protocol because they are in an environment that they do not know anyone. Because if they do the study in my own school, oh my God, they will no longer do the standard procedures as long as they get the number of people who are their sample, period. And that defeats the purpose of correct observance of the protocol for research. Right? And here's another one. Do you ask permission from authorities before you distribute the questionnaires? Yes or no? Meaning if you go to the NIE, are you going to ask a permit so that you can use their students? Yes or no? Of course, you cannot just go there and barge and then get the students. But you see, can anybody say this? What is wrong?
What is wrong?
Is we only write a letter.
If you only write a letter,
Expecting the head
expecting
to write the word approved.
to write what approved,
That is an abuse.
that is an abuse.
A bad practice for a researcher.
Right.
So if I am going to the NIE, I will bring my proposal that is revised, including my questionnaire. I am going to see the head and I will tell him, this is the title of my study, and these are my objectives, and these are my questionnaires, and these are the type of questions I am going to ask your students. Okay, would you give me the permit to do this? And then I leave her a copy. Because what happened in my experience was that when only a letter and then it was approved. When the data came out and the data were not good, and then the president said, what? Why? I did not expect you to gather those kind of questions because he was only given a letter. But remember, as a president, he will have to answer the public if these things are not good. So by asking him to examine the proposal and look at the questionnaire, and that if he will sign, he will not have regrets. Whatever happened to the data. Plus, everybody say this, you have to assure the president
You have to assure the president
that his school will never be named
this school will never
in the analysis and will never be compared with other schools. You cannot say that the Royal University of Cambodia higher the NIE, lower another school higher average. No, no, no. Because if you compare identities of schools, that will be unethical. And they will protest. Of course, they will not protest if they have the highest scores, but about the lowest scores. So you will only put in there in your table, school A, school B, school C, school D, school E. And people would not know what are these schools. And so you discuss the data without reference to a particular school. So you have to tell that to the president that I will not name your school because your school will be labeled ABC along with the others. Okay, so that there is confidentiality of the results of the research. Okay. Now, can anybody say this? When the results are not good,
when the results are not good,
they will persecute the researchers. Persecute, diba? They will go after the researchers if the research is not good. Okay? So, one way to do that is you ask the stakeholders to be involved already in the proposal stage. So I will give you an example because this is something that we actually did. We got a 1.7 million grant from the government to do a research on the quality of our river system in my city. So it was a huge grant of 1.7 million. And during the proposal, we identified who are the stakeholders. So example, Department of Agriculture, okay, the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Health, Department of Tourism, okay, Department of Education. Okay, these are the government entities, okay, who are our stakeholders. Because when the results are not good, they are the ones who will run after us. And so, this is what we did. After we did the proposal, we wrote the proposal, we did not make it final yet. We called for a meeting of all the ministries affected. And then we submitted to them the questionnaires. And then we told them, this is our proposal. If you feel like there are things in your office that we are not able to include, please do so that we can consider them. And if you feel like some of these things are not right, the way we look at it, and then please correct. And so they did it. So they analyzed the questionnaire, they analyzed the proposal, they made corrections. After that, please sign the pages of the questionnaire, the instrument. They sign the pages. Okay. And then, for the methodology, okay, please sign the methodology if you think that this is correct. So, my school has a College of Pharmacy, College of Medical Technology, so we have College of Nursing, we have very good laboratories. We can actually use our own laboratory for testing the water, right? But we did not. We asked the Department of Science and Technology of the government to do the testing for us. Because if we get the government body to test, they said, this is our prescription of how you are going to collect the specimen on this day, on this hour. And then after that, you come to us. So actually, they were the ones who manage our data collection. And then after that, we asked them, what is the meaning of this data? Because we are not scientists like you. And so they help us write the meaning of those data. Meaning, if the data is big or small, what would these things mean in relation to human health? To make the long story short, everything else was under the supervision of the government entities. Now, fast forward into the results. Our E. coli content was 3.5 million, which is considered to be deadly. And so, our main tourism activity in Cagayan de Oro is the trip along the river. And the river, we call that water rafting. So, from the edge at the top of the mountain down to the sea, they would ride on, like this, and then have these boats. And it was a thrilling ride. Now that we know that is dangerous because they can ingest the water. Okay, now, here's what happened. We published, we put online the results. Okay. 3 national television, national TV networks came to my school because our findings were very controversial. And they wanted to get our information. And some government entities were against us because that would mean closure of the tourism activity. And so they would say, no, their method is wrong. And so the television crew came to us and said, according to this government office, your method is wrong. Just go to the Department of Technology because they were the ones who tested us so that they can tell you whether our method was right or wrong. So they went, and then the DOST said that we prescribed the method. We checked the results, and their results are correct. And so we were safe. Get that point? So your results can even put you in hot water, can even kill you, or can even make you famous. Okay? It all depends on what happens next. We did not expect that there will be so much uproar because of the results of our research. Now, what did we do right and what did we not do wrong? I'll start with the wrong. Can anybody say this? Of all the government entities, we miss out on the Department of Tourism. That is why it was the agency that complained, because the water rafting tourism venture would be affected. Had we included them, it could have been safer. Get that point? What did we do right? In the proposal, those bodies were asked to check and evaluate and then write and then sign and then check. So later on, they cannot reverse our findings because everything else was approved by them. So that is the lesson that I got from that experience. Okay? And then My last lesson there is that go, be entitled to academic freedom. Can you write that? Research should be protected by academic freedom. Academic freedom simply means that a professional educator or researcher should not be encumbered, should not be frightened, should not be threatened to release to the public the results of a scientific study. Because there is no bias there. We are using correct scientific procedures. So we should be free to express what results did we get. Anyway, these government bodies were already approving our study right in the proposal stage. We call that academic freedom. We should not be afraid to tell. Oh. All right. On your side, you will be able to write a study like ours because it was big. But maybe you can even, in the future, do a study like small ones that we did. Our students studied street food. You know street food?
Yes.
Sold along the sides, outside of the school or inside the school. For the whole city, we got the samples of the street food. And all were contaminated with other salmonella or something. So our students and teachers were eating contaminated food. So as a result of that, what did we do? We filed the report to the Department of Health. And then we recommended that those selling the food, okay, should be given a hygienic seminar regarding food handling so that the contamination would be avoided. And then the City Hall created a policy, we call it a law, that required identification of those who sell, who are they, where are their addresses, how can they be contacted. Because if people got poisoned from the food that they sell, the government has to know from whom they get that. So that in the cart, there is a laminated, some kind of certificate that will tell the student or the teacher will buy the name of the person selling, okay, and the address, all right. So, because of that, a law was created in my city, and then there was an education program to train these people so that future food poisoning incidents will now be avoided. So that's an example of a study that can be done by students because you will just get a sample and then wrap the sample in a petri dish and then have that tested in the laboratory so that you will be able to incubate what bacteria is there. Just easy. Okay? So studies like that can be done by people like you, easy but yet very helpful to the community. Okay. Any questions so far? Because to do a research and you're only here, okay, and then no influence of experts, no interviews of other people, of course you can do the web. That will diminish the quality of the study. You really need to do the interviews. So I would like to, if you have no more questions, I would like to introduce to you another method of data collection that is rarely used but very good, which is called the Delphi technique. Okay, so capital D, E-L-P-H-I. Delphi technique. D-E-L-P-H-I. Now, who was Delphi? All right. In ancient history, the Delphis were equivalent to the oracles. They were usually blind and they live in caves. And they were considered to be people who have wisdom. So the kings would consult them about the battle. Like if the king will go to the Delphi and the king would say, if I am going to have quarrel with war with Thailand, will I win? If the Delphi will say yes, the king will wage. If the Delphi will say no, the king will not go to war. That's how important they were. And usually most of them were blind. But then if the Delphi is wrong, the king will come back and then cut his head. Okay. So therefore, in the Delphi technique, everybody say this, you will get few samples of people who are most knowledgeable about your topic. Only they will provide the data. And you can even interview them outside of the country. Yes. So, one of my PhD students wanted to study about reading problems of elementary school pupils. Because in my country, we really have a problem regarding reading abilities. Okay. In fact, I am sad to tell you that in the PISA, you know PISA?
Yeah.
PISA test, of the 76 countries, the Philippines was listed as 76. So that was very, very sad. So we have a problem of reading. So what happened with the reading problem was that I advised the student not to study the Philippines only. Because we already know that we have a problem of reading. So what else? Conclusion, the pupils have low reading abilities. Everybody knows that. It's already research. Okay. So I said, why don't you study Southeast Asia? But sir, I do not have money to go there and interview people. No, you don't have to fly. Okay. You are just going to search the web, okay? Reading, expert, ministry, education, Indonesia. And then so research. And there will be names of people. And then you contact their emails, and then you tell them if you can have an interview, and then they can also write answers to the questions. All right. And so in Indonesia, they only got one or two. Then one or two for Malaysia. But these are people who have high positions, that whatever they say already represented their country. That is an example of Delphi. Rather than interviewing 1 million people and they do not even know about the problem. Okay? So that is the nature of the Delphi technique. Another experience was that I advised a dissertation of a dean of accountancy that asked about the financial performance of the colleges and universities of my region. Financial performance. So, in a school, which office knows about financial performance? In a school. Which office? Who knows about finances of a school? The finance office, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the finance office, who has the highest knowledge? Okay, the accountant or the comptroller, right? So, since we only have 12 schools in my region that is complete with elementary, high school, college, she only had 12 people as responded. So, the entire campus was buzzing. That's not a good start. Only 12 people. Dissertation, 12 people. That is not possible. She will not pass the oral exams. And then she was worried, the dean. I said, no problem. So we had an inclusion criteria that the person who should be a respondent must be the highest level officer in the finance office. Two, that this officer has access to confidential financial reports. Yeah. And then, after that, she defended. The question is, why only have 12? Why not 400 people? And then she said, if I'm going to ask students, teachers, and administrators who do not know, I will only be collecting and legitimizing their imagination. In one school, only one person knows about this. And I got this person. And therefore, my 12 people are the only true experts of my topic, which is financial performance. And then she passed. So those 12 were considered the members of the Delphi methodology. So 12 people, but they know exactly what you're asking about, is better than 1,200 ignoramuses.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now do you understand the meaning of Delphi technique? So good research is not about having plenty of respondents, Good research is about selecting people who really know what we're asking about. Okay? That's it. Okay. So, Delphi. Any questions so far? I would like to introduce to you the concept of research, dissemination, and utilization. Can you write that? Research, dissemination, and utilization. Research, dissemination,